This is John Colo with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, for the first time ever, I'm going to share with you guys how I make my pizza. All except for the crust, because I already have a video on how to make the crust. I'll put a link down below. How to make my raw vegan pizza crust that is dehydrated with cauliflower. And actually the crust I'm using is actually dehydrated cauliflower and probably broccoli from my garden from last season. And today what we're going to do is we're going to make the healthiest vegan pizza ever. This is mostly raw. There's a few heat processed ingredients. If you guys want to stay all raw, leave them out. But I want to remind you guys that who are watching this who are vegan and still eating, baked pizza products, or even if you're, flexitarian and eat meat, I want to warn you guys against eating pizza. Pizza is a baked good. It has the flour in there, which is starches. It has the meat in there. These two items, when heated at high temperature, especially if it's charred black, like many people like their pizzas, can create acrylamides and heterocyclic amines that can be cancer-causing and are toxic to your body and will cause you to prematurely age faster than you need to. So while I eat some heat-processed foods, I don't eat pizza. I don't bake things at high temperatures. I only heat things up at low temperature in a dehydrator, or I use a pressure cooker to heat process my foods with water so that it contains less toxins. Links down below to my videos why this 28-year raw vegan started heat processing his food for better health, and how also to avoid toxins when you eat cooked foods. So the other goal with this recipe is to make something super healthy, probiotic and prebiotic rich, to enhance my microbiome, enhance my gut health, and be healthier. As you guys go see, these recipes that I make are quite complex. They're not easy. When I was younger in the raw food movement, I would make, recipes that maybe had 6 or less ingredients. I was like, yeah, I can make things really simple. But as time has gone on, as published studies have gone on, some of the published studies say that you should eat at least 30 different varieties of different plants in a week to have a better and more resilient and greater diversity in your microbiome. So that's what I'm focusing on, mixing up many kinds of different ingredients so I could have the healthiest microbiome. But more importantly, I've chosen some of the ingredients for their specific nutrient values and or specific phytonutrients in there. Most chefs never even consider the phytonutrients, or even more importantly, how you process the food with the right equipment to maximize nutrition. This is what I'm all about. So I'm going to share with you guys actually how I eat. This is a lot of work to put a video together like this, because normally if I was doing all this, I would have been done making my pizzas by now. But to line everything up and to get it ready, it just takes so much longer. So I hope you guys appreciate it. And if you guys like this content, make sure you click the subscribe button right down below. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. So up next, first part of the pizza is the sauce. The sauce is the clincher. The sauce is really where the magic happens. Most people may use like some kind of marinara sauce or pizza sauce that is highly cooked, highly processed. My sauce is all raw, and you can get very similar taste sensations to a pizza sauce without cooking it. And let me go ahead and show you guys how, and I'm just gonna start making it. So first off, you'll need a blender to blend up all the ingredients, but this is not just any Blendtec blender. This is a Blendtec blender with a Void Systems vacuum lid. This vacuum lid converts any Blendtec blender into a vacuum blender that basically removes the excess oxygen before you blend to maximize your oxygen-sensitive phytonutrient content and minimize the polyphenol oxidase that happens when you blend, because now you're blending in an oxygen-deprived environment instead of pumping oxygen into your mixture. This will also ensure your food stays fresher longer, because when you're pumping on all the air that's pumped in to your sauce will oxidize the sauce, cause it to change flavor, cause it to taste nasty, and not store as well either. So if you guys are into your health and are blending traditionally without a vacuum, I encourage you guys to look into vacuum blending. I've been like probably the first guy on YouTube to educate the world about vacuum blending when I first saw it at a trade show many years ago. And I'm the #1 expert on vacuum blending appliances in the USA. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to go ahead and take our blender carafe here. And first we're going to load it up. These are all homegrown cherry tomatoes, guys. These are the last of the season. We are here in December, but these are all ones that I grew myself. So that's a tip for you guys. I want you guys to always, source the highest quality food. If you home grow it yourself, you want to add in things like trace minerals, rock dust, worm casting, compost teas, so you could elevate your quality of food that is far superior than the grocery store. Plus, of course, it is fresh harvested. Now, besides the cherry tomatoes, which are sweet 100s, we got a pepper in my garden, a sweet pepper. Just going to throw that in. That's the last pepper of the season since we are here in December. So this is going to be the base liquid of the sauce. Pizza sauces are made out of tomatoes. We got mostly tomatoes. I'm using cherries today because that's what I grew, but you could use any kind of tomatoes. Next up, we're going to use a probiotic shot. So this is actually the Kiefer Lab 100 trillion probiotic dreamsicle coconut. So this actually has like the turmeric in there. And so this is 100 trillion probiotics. This makes this pizza more probiotic rich than any other pizza in the world, in my opinion, because we're adding 100 trillion probiotics. In addition, we're also going to get a nice creaminess because this is made in like a coconut milk. So it's like adding a coconut milk with turmeric. Plus, of course, we got the turmeric in there to amp up the antioxidant content. Of course, next up, we got to have like acid flavor. So for that, I like to use the balsamic vinegar. Some people use lemon, which you could do. But I like this balsamic vinegar. This is organic balsamic vinegar. This is 12-year aged, guys. This stuff is super good, super complex flavors. It's not like the cheap garbage stuff you guys get at the store. I don't really measure stuff, so what I do is I just shake in about 10 shakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, about 12 shakes. And a little bit more. If you guys want to buy any of these unique ingredients that I use, you want to check my Amazon shop. I have links to, the different specialty products that are available on Amazon that you can buy there. All right, so we got the vinegar in there. Next up, we're going to go ahead and add some seasoning. And once again, more probiotic foods. I want you guys to eat more probiotic-rich foods. A scientific study came out that said that eating probiotics is even more beneficial to inflammatory markers and your gut microbiome than even eating a greater diversity of fiber. That's why I already have one probiotic food. Now we're adding a second probiotic food. I like to use this miso specifically, and this is the Cold Mountain Kyoto Red miso, and most important, this is the less sodium, which is 60% less sodium than standard miso. Standard misos are sodium bombs, so I only encourage you guys to get the low sodium version, and this is my favorite company, the Cold Mountain. So once again, I don't really measure stuff, but we're just going to probably put in about 2 teaspoons. I just do everything by eye because, I don't need this exact recipe. I like that every time it comes out a little bit different, but it's always delicious. All right, next up, we're going to add something to thicken up the sauce. So we're going to add some dates. So I have some pitted dates, local pitted dates here. We got 10 dates going right in there. Next up, we're going to put the fat in there. We do have some coconut milk, but we're going to go ahead and add some of the cashews. I'll put like 1 handful, maybe 1.5 handfuls of the raw cashews. These are the really raw cashews, guys. Most cashews you buy in the store that are labeled raw are really cooked. So you're not even raw anyways. All right, next up, we want to balance out some of the fats with some flax seeds. So we just got some organic golden flax. We're just going to go ahead and put the rest of this bag in there. Probably about a tablespoon or 2. Always encourage you guys to get more flax in you for your omega-3 fatty acids. Next up, we want that cheesy flavor because I'm not making a cheese sauce. So my tomato sauce acts as a cheese sauce and a tomato sauce. So to get a cheesy flavor, we're putting in the nutritional yeast. This is organic from Germany. non-fortified. Very important. I just shake a whole bunch in there. Next up, to give it the flavor punch, you could add sun-dried tomatoes. Instead of sun-dried tomatoes, because we already got tomatoes, I want to add something else. We got actually freeze-dried baby peppers. So these guys really will help you to thicken up your sauces without adding additional fat, because most times in raw foods that you would add extra nuts to thicken it up, but if you add enough dried peppers or dried tomatoes, that'll help thicken up the sauce without adding additional fat. So we're just gonna go ahead and put a bunch in there. Next up, we're making pizza sauce, so we've got to put in the pizza seasoning. This is the Frontier Co-op Pizza Seasoning, certified organic. This has all the different herbs like a pizza sauce would have. So I just take it and I just dump a bunch in there. Not too much, but just enough. And then of course, we got to add some pepper to make sure we activate our turmeric. Plus I just love pepper and different spices. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and add some salt, but this is not any salt. This is actually salt from France, but it's actually not even a salt, sodium. It's a potassium salt with some other ingredients in there. So it kind of tastes like salt, but it doesn't have the salt. So it's gonna be healthy for you. Has a minerally taste. Don't put too much in. Just put enough in there. There's really good studies on potassium salts and helping with blood pressure. So I think we got all the ingredients in there. The next step is we're just gonna go ahead and put the vacuum lid on. We're gonna turn it on. It pops up. We're gonna make sure it's nice and tight, and we're gonna crank it on. What's gonna happen is dual pumps are coming on, and it's sucking the excess oxygen out of the container before we blend. So now when we blend, we're blending in an oxygen deprived environment, so we're gonna maintain more of the antioxidants because they're not getting oxidized due to the mixture of oxygen as the blades crush the food up and expose all the nutrients to the air. All right, so we got to 20, and this is the high pressure lid. I'll have a video on this soon on my Discount Juicers channel. The cool thing about this lid is it actually will maintain pressure. If it does lose pressure due to the gasket or even as it's blending, it'll pull out extra oxygen as the ingredients are being blended. So I love this a lot. We're gonna go ahead and turn on our blender, and we're just gonna go ahead and do a ramp up. All right, we got it all blended up. So let's go ahead and take the head protection off. And we're gonna go ahead and stop the unit. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and let the air back in by pulling up this tab. And I want you guys to look at the mixture. It actually sinks down. So normally when you blend it actually rise up because you're adding in air, and under vacuum, the mixture sinks down because you're doing it without air. So like my friend Kailash says, I don't want you guys to air up your smoothie or sauces when you're blending traditionally. That's why I only encourage you guys to do vacuum blending if you really care about your health. Now, if you want to oxidize your food, not have your food store as long and lose some significant nutrition, then you can use traditional blending. Look at this nice sauce, guys. Nice and thick. Smells oh so good. I can smell the tomatoes in there. All right, guys, so now that we got the sauce made, now we have all the ingredients laid out here, including the pizza crust that I make in bulk and then store in a Mylar bag. So the first step is, let's go ahead and take out the pizza crust. When I do my pizza recipe, I like to make 12 pizzas at once. Generally what happens is I'll eat 4, like today, and then I will eat 4 every, day in the future. So we have our crusts here, and I just basically lay them out on a cutting board, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pull 12 of them out. Now these are dehydrated crusts, not cooked in the oven. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce all the different toppings that we'll be putting on the pizza today. Of course, first off, we'll be using the sauce made in the blender you guys just saw. Next up, on top of the sauce, we put mixed greens. So these are greens fresh picked from my garden. The last of this year's basil harvest, including Italian basil, Thai basil, and 2 different kinds of holy basils went in here, along with spinach that's going to continue to grow throughout the winter. I basically harvested, washed it, chopped it up, and this will act as the leafy greens. I always want to encourage you guys to eat leafy greens with every meal. We'll be putting on that first. Next up, we got some mushrooms. So these mushrooms are shiitakes. They have been put in the Instant Pot under steaming for 5 minutes under pressure. And then after they came out, then I put them in the dehydrator to dehydrate them so they wouldn't be a sloppy mess. So that's the process. Well, some people do eat raw shiitakes. If you eat raw shiitakes, you may wake up the next day with these like scratch marks that look like somebody clawed you, which is really interesting. That's a known thing that raw shiitakes will do to you. I do encourage you guys to cook your mushrooms if you are going to eat them. They're quite a healthy food. Of course, next up we got some onions. These are white onions. Now these are locally grown from a local farm, and these are sweet onions like the Maui onions, not like traditional spicy onions. That way I could put a lot more of them. Plus, of course, I pre-cut them and let them hang out to create some more cancer-fighting compounds due to the allanase enzyme being active. Next up is a heat-processed ingredient. This is actually just from glass jars. This is artichoke hearts. So I just cut those up, and we'll put those on the pizza for a different texture. Next up, we got locally grown ripe tomatillos. Ripe tomatillos are actually white. They're not green. That's when they're really unripe. These are ripe tomatillos. That's going to be delicious. Next up, we got some more fermented foods. These are fermented Kalamata olives from Big Picture Foods, my favorite company where I get pretty much all my olives from these days. Next up, we got, once again, more Big Picture Foods. These are capers, guys. So capers, I'll put a link down below to my video where it's like basically this superfood could cost $1 if you got the, you know, the heat processed one at your dollar store. That being said, even if they are heat processed, which these are not, these are fermented capers. Once again, from Big Picture Foods. So if you want to stay raw and living, that's what these are, the highest quality capers money can buy. Fermented capers are really rich in different phytochemicals that are healthy for us. And as you guys can see, once again, this is another fermented food, once again, to create microbial diversity. Plus, each of these foods have a whole different host of phytonutrients. You know, I want to say that the artichokes also have the inulin, of course, in there that's going to help feed our microbiome. We got two more toppings I want to share. We got the fresh, dug up Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes that I grew in my very garden. These guys are amazing, guys. Like every microbiome test I've seen from Ombre, they say eat more Jerusalem artichokes. And these guys are amazing. They have a nice crunch and a really neutral flavor. You could eat them raw, which I prefer better, or of course you could eat them cooked as well. #1 food for your gut microbiome. They're in season right now if you guys could find them. All right, we got one more pizza topping. And what we're looking at here are, yes, these are fresh cannabis buds, guys. Fresh cannabis buds. Like, to me, I just use these as like a seasoning. To me, cannabis is an herb. If you eat it raw, you will not get the psychoactive effects. It's only when you heat them up to cook them, unless you're making a raw juice, which I found out the hard way. Link down below to my video how I got high on raw cannabis leaves when I juiced it for 10 hours, which is not fun. But just using this raw, I've never gotten high. So yeah, I'd encourage you guys to, once again, diversify the foods you're eating. The cannabis buds have different cannabinoids and terpenes and a whole host of other different phytochemicals, vitamins, and of course, the minerals. So with that, that's all the ingredients. So what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and assemble the pizza. So I think, because this is not gonna be super rocket science, we're just gonna take a scoop of the sauce out and put it on each pizza. And then I spread this out, and then I just basically put the toppings on each one. It's not going to be super exciting, so to save you guys some time, we're going to speed this part of the video up for you guys, which is going to look really cool. Alright, so there you go. There you have it. I basically got all my pizzas made. Lots of toppings on there. So I'm gonna eat 4 of these tonight, and I'm quite hungry since I've been busy making all this stuff so I could make a video for you guys. But I want to show you guys how I store these. So I basically got these date boxes that you buy dates in. This holds like 12 ounces, and these are the perfect size to fit the pizzas. So for example, I take one pizza, throw it in the box, put the lid on it. Then I get the next box, put the next pizza in there, put the lid on it. It's just about the right height. And then I can stack them in my fridge. It's really cool. I love that. So that is how I make my mostly raw vegan pizza that is probiotic-rich, nutrient-dense, and prebiotic-rich as well, because I use lots of different ingredients. Many contain inulin. Of course, I use several ingredients that had the probiotics and beneficial bacteria on them. I do want to let you guys know that I did pre-soak the capers and olives to reduce the sodium content before putting them on the pizzas. And if you guys are interested in learning more about the Kefir Lab 100 trillion kefir that went into the sauce to up the sauce and make a probiotic-rich sauce, I'll put a link down below to my video where I visit Kefir Lab in San Francisco to show you guys their process and verification that they actually have 100 trillion probiotics in their one little shot product. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode today, learning how I make my pizza. Once again, link down below on how I make the crust. And this is how I make my raw vegan pizza. You know, and here's the thing that's important for me to share with you guys is I want you guys to source local ingredients and seasonal ingredients whenever possible. Of course, some of the items that I'm using are from Europe that I buy, like the Big Picture Foods, like the FitSALT, the European balsamic, but most of the fresh stuff is from my garden. You know, the crusts are from my garden that I dehydrated. The Jerusalem artichokes are from my garden. The mushrooms are actually local. Tomatillos were local. The tomatoes were from my garden. The peppers were from my garden. The leaves of the basil and the spinach was from my garden. I want you guys to eat fresh picked, locally grown as much as possible. And then also minimally processed. As you guys can see, I didn't use an oven. I didn't bake this. I did vacuum blending to reduce the oxidation. This is going to give you, in my opinion, some of the healthiest food that money, unfortunately, cannot buy. And no, I'm not selling my pizzas. It's a lot of work to make these guys. Anyways, before I go, I got to go ahead and taste test one. What I really love about my pizzas are the medley of flavors. So I get like flavor explosions of all the different flavors, like from the olives to the capers to the mushrooms, and more importantly, the textures, soft textures of some of the softer items, and then the crunchy textures of, say, their Jerusalem artichokes, as well as the crust. And of course, when I save them like this over the fridge and the next day, they're a little bit softer, and they're actually almost kind of taste better the second day than when they're fresh. All right, so let's go ahead and try this on camera. That's a winner today, guys. Super good. So if you guys enjoyed this episode learning how I make my raw vegan pizza, nutrient-dense, probiotic-rich, and prebiotic-rich, give this video a big thumbs up. More importantly, share this with other people that want to learn how to eat nutrient-dense and the healthiest way possible, including lots more diversity of plants and probiotic foods in their diet. Also, leave your comments down below. You want me to do more food demos? I tend not to do a lot of food demos, but I'm making food every single day for myself because it's a blue moon, really, that I go out to eat. Because basically, if they're not serving healthy food, I'm not eating it, and most places don't serve healthy food as healthy as I could make it at home. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new upcoming episodes I've come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up, what I'll be sharing with you guys, or what new recipes I'll be sharing with you guys as well, so you guys can eat healthier and learn about how to eat the healthiest way possible. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my videos come out, and finally be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 700 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to teach you guys all about eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, minimally processed, so that you guys can get healthier. So with that, my name is John Kohler with okraw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables and pizza. They're always the best.